to anyone who's joining on LinkedIn Live. This is Martin from Inspire Coaching, and this is in a series of LinkedIn Lives that running out every Wednesday at 08:30 Central European Time. So please do mark that in your calendar if you want to see more. What I've been doing over the last few weeks is running through behaviors of leadership, and there are some great behaviors, and there are some not good behaviors, and there are some dreadful behaviors. And these are really based on the assessments that come from a company called Human Synergistics, who I adore and have been using for many, many years in helping organizations transform from rather dictatorial style leadership into something that generates not only great results, but also looks after the human being behind them. Yesterday was World Mental Health Day, where people all over the world came to recognize that mental health is health. And as any other health issues, mental health is one of those things that can really make or break people, teams, organizations, and bring success or otherwise. And there are some things that leaders can do that's in their charge to make sure that the organization is functioning properly like a well oiled machine rather than something that's really disengaged and literally disengaged, like gears on the cog, either engaged or not engaged. When they're engaged, the engine runs smoothly. When they're not, it doesn't. And the same is true for organizations. When your people who are running the show and doing the work are engaged in what they're doing, their mental health is much, much better than when they're not engaged in what they're doing. And strangely, if you think about the global situation at the moment where many employees are working from home, isolated, not connected with other human beings, they tend to be less engaged and their mental health issues tend to be higher. This is findings from Gallup, the organization in the US that also developed the Clifton Strengths Finder. Now, there are many, many human behavioral traits that come from the situations they're in, and often it's the environment that can help exacerbate personality traits that come out and as leadership, or indeed, if you're reporting to someone, the environment has a huge influence on how you are and the behavior you exhibit. And the behaviors can range from all sorts of things, from being beautifully collaborative and connecting with the people around you as human beings to help them bring out the best. So also to build that trust that good performing teams need, that builds into psychological safety, true psychological safety that high performing teams need. And you can't have psychological safety without trust. You can have trust without psych safety, but not the other way around. Then there are those behaviors that come through on most the reports from Human Synergistics, and I'm specifically looking at leadership work styles here. There's um, a chunk of behaviors that are described as passive, and we all exhibit them. Sometimes you will find yourself not speaking up when you know you should, being shocked and standing back rather than stepping in and doing what's right. Um, that's okay. There are times when that passive behavior steps in and takes over, but it's not okay if that's the norm in the organization. That's stopping people speaking up, that's stopping people contributing, that's people being less engaged. And then there are other sets of behaviors that are deemed aggressive. And these include things like power, having a big power dynamic, and competitive. A leadership style that's truly competitive, um, if it's overplayed, can be completely misplaced. Leaders that see competitive is that I have to win and nothing else matters are missing the point, because they may get some short-term gains, but they get a heck of a lot of long-term pain. Funnily enough, competitiveness is a talent from the Clifton Strength Finder. So I'm a Clifton Strength Finder coach, have been since its formation way back. And is sorry, there was a distraction, a buzz going on here. Didn't hear it? Uh, and it's interesting that competitiveness as a talent can actually also be something that gets in the way. In fact, all of the talents from the Clifton Strength Finder can either be developed into a strength that, when repeated seamlessly over and over again to a very high standard, gets you that very thing you're after. But they can also be overplayed, and it's competitiveness is one of those that's clearly gets overplayed, and if it's self-centered, also becomes a bit of a hazard rather than a help. It becomes a hindrance to getting your goals. In fact, anything that gets in the way of you getting your goal, meeting your targets, can be considered a weakness. So, looking at the leadership work styles, it's a wonderful assessment. It's a personal reflection, and it's a 360. And the characteristics of leaders who exhibit really high levels of competitive behaviors just really focus on goals, not people. So they drive to excel, and they have a strong desire for achievement. Now, I've worked under people like this before, and I can honestly say I'm not really competitive. I like it when it works out. In fact, I love it when it works out. I like to be rewarded for good work done. I like the occasional stand up, Martin. You've done a good job. Let's give you a round of applause. Like that, but that's not the reason I do it. And that's the difference. I think leaders who have this high competitive streak do it because that's all they want to do is win. Given that, they tend to leave people behind. Um, Although there are some positive aspects, but competitive leaders tend to just focus on the prize, and actually, the prize is bigger than the gold cup at the end. The prize is the team that you bring with you, the people that you develop, the legacy that you leave behind. I speak to many leaders now who are, let me say, 60 plus years old, and they think they've come to the end of their career. Some have expressed that they don't know what the company's going to do without them because they are the only people that can do what they do, um, which is a problem, obviously, for everybody. Uh, but what they don't seem to get is that there is a legacy that they can leave behind that enriches the people that they leave behind as well, and the company, and their name will be held in high regard because they didn't just win, they won and brought everybody with them. Uh, Sometimes having a competitive leader can actually be an advantage as well. I remember years and years ago being in a learning group, and there was a little bit of what we called healthy competition. Nobody necessarily strived to be the best, but through collective learning, we all managed to upskill and have a really great end of year result from the combined efforts of everybody. So, to the point that we would have small learning groups, self managed. Um, we would talk through things. We would know that if we could explain it to others, then we knew it. But also, in explaining it to others, we would be helping others. And there was uh, no desire for anyone to have the highest score, but to be at their personal best. And competitive, when seen like this as a something that I can be better than I was yesterday, is a healthy thing. It's the growth aspect. It's more than just the prize at the end of it, and it brings other people along as well. So sometimes, if you have a competitive leader who is truly looking at the global issue, the bigger picture, rather than me winning against my other leader um, colleagues, then you actually get a leader that can actually increase motivation, that they can instill a drive for motivation within the team. And while they have a strong focus on results, it's not all about the results. The results are important. How you get there isn't necessarily important, providing it's ethical and so on. Highly, oh, it's interesting. I've got a timer here. It keeps buzzing at me. Um, Highly competitive leaders do, though, deliver some drawbacks. And through their competitive attitude, can truly deliver a stressful workshop. Now, I mentioned the passive and aggressive behavioral styles. Competitive is on the more aggressive style. It's working towards, funnily enough, being more collaborative. My firm belief is that leaders that want to exhibit some competitiveness into their teams would do so and benefit more from bringing the team in with them rather than pushing the team to win. So by pushing the team to win, they generate a stressful work environment. They generate that environment where employees cannot speak up because what's the point? Because the boss just wants to win. And they reduce this element of collaboration um, to the point that, depending on the size of the team, you start to alienate team members. And alienating team members are those team members that become less engaged. And all the survey data that shows that the less engaged employees are, the worse their mental health is. So leaders really, really do have to have a look at how they are operating within the team and how that is affecting the members of that team and their mental health. So there's a big balance to have here. The importance of striking this balance. Leaders with high competitive behavior should really consider other leadership dimensions, such as teamwork and interpersonal skills. Now, I'll come on to those in future LinkedIn Lives, but just to touch briefly on those, that one thing that has come to light very, very recently, again from Gallup, is a a decent conversation with every member of the team at least once a week. But if you only do it once a week, then once a week for 15 to 20 minutes that goes into the how are you, how's it going for you, all those aspects of leadership that really should be everyday issues. They don't have to be formal, not formal talks, not regulated, not recorded, not put into some HR document or anything like that. They can be simply, hey, John, do you fancy a coffee? Let's walk to the coffee machine and chat while we're walking. Let's talk while the coffee's brewing and sit down and have an it's kind of off the record, but it's important to keep it on the record in that you have that meeting once a week. Evidence shows that that minimal input of 15 minutes, even 15 to 30 minutes, but 15 minutes makes a huge difference to the engagement level of your employees. Now, if you're engaging in uh, how the team's doing and getting enthusiastic about the progress that you're making and keeping your eye on the goal and all that sort of stuff, you're going to, as a leader, instill that enthusiasm into your team members as well. The leader's competitive behavior can truly affect not only the person, but the team dynamic as well. Um, that healthy competition within the team, and that's not, you're not pitching one against the other, but the team. I remember working in a team years and years ago where when things went wrong in that team, the leader would take the hit. When things went right, and there was a team of about 12 people, and maybe one or maybe two people would excel, but the team would get the recognition. The team leader stepped away. So it wasn't his recognition, it was the team that got the recognition. Team leaders that do that really give a sense of purpose to the team and step outside of the competition, although in the background it's running, um, and can drive productivity without creating a real cutthroat mentality. There have been other team leaders that have driven such behavior where I've seen truly unethical behavior coming through team members in order to win, because winning was the thing that mattered. That actually, by individual team members, brought the whole team down. And in this case, the manager as well, the leader, fell because of the unethical behavior by one of his team members. So keep competition in perspective. Leaders' competitive behavior can influence the engagement and job satisfaction of members, team members as well. There is a need for open communication to address all these certain concerns. But of course, as I alluded to earlier, you need trust. You need to build that trust, that level of trust that if I open my mouth around this table, I'm not going to be, well, I am going to be, let's not do what you're not. I am actually going to be listened to. My view will be respected, regardless of what it is. You will find that all it takes from somebody around the table is to give you a quick across the table, and boom, your contribution is worthless. Uh, your amygdala goes, hey, I'm under attack, and all you want to do is leave the room, but you can't because you're in the meeting. So, um, having that level of discussion and openness and communication is vital. Excuse me. The other thing that's vital is being clear about your communication. Uh, you'd be surprised the percentage of mistakes made in the workplace that are actually have their root cause in unclear communication. So the clearer you can make things, the better. Now, here's something to think about. The meaning of the communication is the response you get. And I said that to a leading internal communicator who's working in big pharma. And he said, no, it isn't. I said, think about it. He went, okay, now I get it. The meaning of the communication is the response you get. If you deliver your message that you think is crystal clear and you have a puzzled look on the face of the person in front of you, it wasn't crystal clear to them. So, how you interpret something as a leader and how you explain that in the limited vocabulary of words and gestures, and how then that is received by the other person through their filters of values and beliefs and so on. It's a gulf of difference between what was said and what was heard. So be as clear as you possibly can, as you know how to be, then try and be a bit clearer, and then recognize that not everyone will get it and explore. It's not their fault, it's not your fault, but it's an open discussion to explore for clarity. The more you can have that clarity of communication, the much better your chances of winning in that situation might be. So you don't just go for the prize, that everybody wins. So I just wrap up. I'm going to make it fairly short today. Um, I know you might think this has already gone on too long, but just to be aware, competitive leaders rein it in. It's not all about winning, and yet I know it is. I know it is, but it's not all about winning. There's much more to winning than the prize. The way you take your people to the prize with you, the way you encourage them to work rather than push the carrot and stick methods, time gone, not happening anymore. The way you motivate people to their needs, to what works for them, um, in a way that motivates and engages them in the process, will make your life easier and winning much more attainable. Remember, leadership isn't a prize, it's not a promotion, it's a responsibility. And in that responsibility, there is a responsibility and duty of care to the people that you have under your charge. People don't leave bad organizations, they leave poor leaders. And if you can't have that open dialogue in a way that allows your people to talk with you rather than, and you're not talking at them, then you need to start, take a stop, take a breather, breathe down, and just figure out what's going on here. Favorite Ted Lasso quote, and there have been many. And if you don't know who Ted Lasso is, look him up. When in a conflict situation, in a winning environment, he hunkered down, stuck his hands in his pocket, looked at the person in front of him, and said, what is it I need to learn here? If you're a leader that can do that, you will be a leader that can really improve the opportunity of winning in your team, for you, and the people in your charge. So my name's Martin Daubney. You probably know that because you're on my LinkedIn Live. I work for Inspire Coaching based in Basel, and I use a number of psychometric assessments to help me not only help leaders, but also teams be at their very best every day without burning out. If you'd like to know more about that, just get in touch, send me a message on LinkedIn, find us on inspirecoaching.com, and we'll take it from there. I look forward to hearing from you, but if not, I'll see you here on LinkedIn Live next Wednesday at 08:30 Central Europe time. Until then, keep winning, but don't focus on the prize, focus on the process.